Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with the sound of a police helicopter, buzzing through the countryside of South America. Santiago, a smart sharpshooter cop, has a mission to complete: track down and hunt members of the drug lord squad, hiding in the dreary flat, as well as gather information about their affluent boss, Gabriel Martin Loria. With that, he cocks his gun, and fires a blast that rips through Loria's squad's shelter. Then Santiago and his armed police officers apprehend several of Loria's associates, and threaten them in order to elicit information about Loria's location. Finally, one of the inmates breaks his silence, claiming that their master is somewhere in the jungles, since he does not trust banks. Apparently, it is a cracking code that Loria may be hiding his fortune in his home. The armed policeman holds the rest of the imprisoned inmates, until a woman breaks free from her chain and escapes. Santiago and his colleagues sprint as fast as they can to catch up to the woman, but she is too swift, and manages to escape. The woman who escaped is Santiago's informant, Giovanna. They have an agreement: he will release the informant's brother from prison, in exchange for divulging Loria's whereabouts and money, as she works delivering vans full of cash to Loria's jungle home. She warns Santiago, a man she has affection for, that his squad is a traitor, and that they are following him. Learning this, he devises a strategy to assemble a trusted team for the theft. With the first person that comes to mind, he meets retired Captain William Miller, aka Tom, to join them. He then seeks out his old friend, Red Fly, a former armed officer turned realtor, with troubled family ties and financial problems. Red Fly drives his daughter to school with Santiago. Santiago describes the strategy of speaking with the agency, and agreeing to keep 25% of any money seized. He thinks that the Loria safe house contains $75 million in cash, which is a lot of money to swim with. He has been meticulously organizing the mission to steal Loria's money, and even enlists the help of a lawyer and trustworthy agents, but Red Fly is confused whether to join them, due to its risks. After meeting Red Fly, he invites Benny and Catfish to join their robbery, because he knows he can't achieve it without some powerful, smart and trusted agents. Red Fly appears unexpectedly and surprises everyone. He goes over their entry strategy. First and foremost, he had prepared their passports earlier. Second, they will enter the country as power line consultants. Finally, because there are no facial recognition cameras in the region, they will act like crazed ghosts. Red Fly ultimately chooses to join their money robbery hearing the plot, and so the gang drives to the jungle up to Loria's estate to investigate, hide in the woods, and study their options for entering and seizing the moment. They learn that the Loria family attends church on Sundays, and sends 3 guards to the 6 a.m. service. When they return, he sends the rest of his crew as well as his family into town, leaving him with only the 3 house guards. Next, their plan goes perfectly, and they spot Santiago's informant in a vehicle. The informant meets Loria in person, to sign a shipment. Something happens later that night, as the theft group is resting and sipping beers. They begin to distrust the assignment, and realize Santiago framed them, but not as a betrayal or self-serving goal. They recognize they are committing an illegal act, a money heist with no backup. Santiago's only objective is to steal Loria's money, in order to become wealthy and take what they deserve, rather than simply arresting and capturing inmates, without any honorable recognition and appreciation as they beat up the injustices. Meanwhile, Santiago and the informant meet in secret. He asks to get him an additional van into the compound on Sunday. He needs that van inside the gate, and offers the informant $2 million as a reward in releasing her brother. The Western money heist gang arrives on a rainy Sunday morning, hiding in the jungle at first. The informant enters her van successfully inside the gate, where the team is eager to carry out the plan. Benny comes to inspect and open the gate. When the informant notices this, he leaves them to complete their mission. The money heist game starts, and they roam around the mansion. When they see some of Loria's armed guards, they kill them as rapidly as cockroaches. They fire them down professionally, cocking and discharging their guns, while plundering and capturing some of his people along the route. They are also attempting to locate and look for Loria, who has not yet been located. After that, they must secure everything, and hope that everyone is turned off, so they may seize everything. Red Fly summons his colleagues to the office. Santiago, on the other hand, tears down the weak paper-thin wall, behind which is millions of dollars, surprising them. It is true that the house serves as a safe. With such euphoric serotonin, they take their luggage, seize any money they can get their hands on immediately, and stash it in their vehicle. They then scrape every frail wall in order to steal the money. With each scrape on the wall, an act of greed, time is running out, and they must pack their belongings before Loria's family and guards return home. However, Red Fly is overtaken by more greed, and wishes to stock up on more money. Santiago just wants vengeance on Loria, a perpetrator of injustice, desiring to burn his money, house and name. While they are distributing gasoline to burn down the house, a secret cabinet slowly opens, to yet another surprise. Loria is hiding there, with his money and guns. He attempts to aim and rain bullets down on the room. But the group is so adaptable and vigilant, one of them soon shoots and murders Loria. Unfortunately, Loria's bullet hits William. He is still in the game, however, because of his solidity and durability. They kill the other guards and set the house on fire, and flee the mansion as the fire soon spreads. The group notices the Loria family in a car as they leave. They let it go, and drive rapidly to the facility, where a worried helicopter awaits. They must stow the money they've stolen, a total of $250 million in cash. However, since the helicopter can only carry a limited amount, the weight is an issue. But they can't leave $20 million on the runway, so they proceed with their stolen fortune. They transport the informant and her brother to another place. Santiago hands them their passports and their share, to begin a new life in Sydney. He warns the informant to be careful, and stay away from South America, since they may kill her. He instructs his informant that when they arrive at the airport, they should stop at a specific shipping business, and ensure that the boxes are delivered to the hotel in Sydney. The two conclude with a bittersweet parting. Later, the team wakes up in the helicopter. They find they've landed in a winter isle. It feels like fleeing is more difficult than stealing Loria's money, and it is after the mission that their brotherhood hopes are stifled. The engine suddenly sputters, forcing them to dump part of their cash bags. Ben tries to lift the lever, but nothing happens. Benny then goes down for a bit, to poke the sack of cash, which works surprisingly well, although it pays in danger. The helicopter shakes and smashes into the others. They crash land somewhere on a coke farm, with their money bags smack dab in the middle. As if things couldn't get any worse, residents living on the farm say they now own the money, because it crashed on their property. This money heist convinces everyone that Red Fly is a maniac. He is enraged, and rains gunfire on farmers and residents who come near their money, assuming the robbers are DEA special agents. Because of this, people scream and rush to get closer to the gang. The villagers can only weep over the victims that have been slaughtered. The group begs forgiveness from their community leader, handing over some of their money, and instructing him to deliver money to the bereaved relatives. While traveling with the mules they purchased from the community leader, they notice a young boy laughing vengefully at them. That young boy's father is killed in a Red Fly bullet shower, and he mourns his father's death. The gang continues to flee, and comes into a forest, where they spend the night. They leave in the morning for the Rocky Mountains. Because of the rugged mountains, one of their mules falls with their money. They free their mules after seeing the risks of where they're going, and can only bring themselves in with hundreds of cashbacks. With dawn falling on them, the shivering cold drives them to burn part of their money, to start a fire. With only a few cashbacks left, the sound of a gun startles the entire gang. The guns ricocheted through the rocks without hitting anything, indicating a threat. They spread out swiftly to find the concealing shooters, and discover one of them was a young boy, clutching and cocking his gun. Red Fly locks his weapon on the boy, keeps his ground, and fires an A1 shot at him. It goes effortlessly, and seems like a victorious shot, putting a stop to any potential threats. But then he sees the boy who had once gazed at them with such vengeance. The young boy aims his gun at Red Fly, the man who had slain a dozen of his people, and shoots directly at the target, but he is also shot down, culminating in a loud blast from Santiago's gun. When his pals learn that Red Fly has been killed, they lament and weep for him. They had not imagined that their companion, as well as their mission, would be slain. The gang leader, Santiago, pushes them to carry on with their plan, since Red Fly's family deserves the money. As they trek to a cold peak, they also bring Red Fly's body and their money. They had a backup boat, thankfully, but they are 5 days late, and are worried if the boat is still waiting for them. Benny leaves them for a time, to travel through the boat and inspect several passages, an important step in their successful escape strategy. He returns to his buddies, and provides them with information, telling them the boat is still waiting for them, which proves to be a fortunate move in the end. He didn't travel to town, because there were a slew of heavily armed youngsters, Loria's crew. However, William says he did not go on this expedition to kill youngsters for money. He pursues a heart-to-heart conversation with Santiago, examining their own decisions, and the consequences of those actions. They have 100 money sacks that they must release, since they cannot leave Red Fly's body in the middle of nowhere. As a result, they choose brotherhood and a bond of friendship over money. They return their money, and hurl the remainder over the edge, in a ravine. As they reach the town, they are accompanied by highly armed boys. Benny searches for their boat, while the others quietly move through town. The highly armed guy walks by, but they have no intention of killing him. Santiago and his buddies steal a car and drive it to the shore, where Benny will drive the boat. However, as soon as they leave, a gang of youngsters in their car intervenes. The gang has no alternative but to shoot, and drive as fast as they can. A band pursues them, but the gang outwits them, and eventually arrives at the shore. Santiago and his companions successfully discover Benny at the beach. They exhaustingly sail away, preparing to begin a new life, and live with the consequences of their decisions. They may have left many money bags, but they brought one for each of them. They only brought 5 million, and with 5 shares, they each receive roughly 1.1 million. A lawyer requires their signatures on a Red Fly family trust deposit contract, which they all sign, feeling guilty that Red Fly's greed cost him his life. Santiago plans to head to Australia to find Ivana, the informant. Before leaving, William gives him a set of coordinates, the location of the ravine. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.